Good afternoon and welcome to another of our weekly podcasts. My name is Dan.
And I'm Lily, and we are
The Load-In. This week we are joined by Harmeek Singh, the CEO of the Plan B Group. Welcome, Harmeek.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Now, before we start, a little bit about yourself.
Been here for the last 17 years in this part of the world. Started as a homegrown brand, Plan B, and started all by myself. But then again, today we are an entity, 8-company entity over here, positioned in Russia, in Saudi, in London, in India, and over here, and in Abu Dhabi as well. So
Wow.
we've grown, and this is my home ground.
Nice. It's always good to see people growing and being based in Dubai and being successful.
Which explains why you're so passionate about what's going on at the moment.
Started from the ground and still very firmly grounded.
Perfect.
Nice.
Well, we've got you here today to talk about the letter. Tell us a little bit.
It sounds so serious, the letter.
That's what it's been. It's the letter.
Yeah.
So tell us about the letter.
I think very soon somebody's going to come up with this as a series on Netflix.
Probably.
We're going to trademark it right now.
I know, the letter. I think we all know that the industry has gone down. Not us, but then again, all sectors have gone down, and pretty much has been a revelation for everybody to look at. How do we have the basic and the most important part that everybody requires to survive? So last 4 months, it's been like our industry, exactly what I heard before from Dan and from Paul. We go in the first and we are the last ones to come back. It's exactly the reason that we were looking in the industry to come together, to see that somebody's taking and having this, being the flag bearers for our industry, to see what is the next steps.
So when you guys, I understand that ILEA did an initial plea letter. So this is seen as the follow-up to that?
The point, the time where we started to think about and talk about that there was no idea of the letter from ILEA. And we started speaking to a few of the people. And one night, it was something that I was like to the top of my frustration levels, that we don't have any direction. And where am I heading with my infrastructure where we have 400 plus people looking at me? So what's next? So I spoke to one of my very dear friends, Pash, and we had a similar sort of feature. We had a similar thought process. And he clearly mentioned, it's good, Harmeek, that you called me. And that's the time where it started. And the next day we started looking at who do we know. And I think it's the credibility that we have for the last so many years that people started to look at that what we were doing has got some sort of substance to this. The letter, as you may call that, but then again, the letter is just the initiative. I'm not going to be talking about the letter because that's maybe step one. For me, it's the action plan that we are looking forward to bring everybody together, because it's a time, and it's about time actually to see that we are talking about. And questions been asked, what is the lowest part of the chain? Is supposed to be, I'll probably just expand on that one a little bit later, but I think we all have got, the sector is much bigger than live events. The sector is much bigger than what I have seen, so it was about time that I stood up.
Yeah. I was going to say on that note, because I think there's been a lot of criticism, and myself included, have been quite vocal in that.
I was about to throw it at you because it affects you as an agency.
Well, it does, yeah. And I think, I agree with lots of the stuff that Harmeek was saying. Lots of the things which I've been doing personally has been born out of frustration. When you're sat at home and you're trying to figure out, I have a very small team, I'm 9 people, and definitely not 400 people like yourself. But, they look to us for answers. They look to us for solutions, especially in a time when I personally felt that answers weren't being given. Was where we started to try to develop our own kind of, I don't want to say agenda because it wasn't an agenda, but we were trying to speak to different people as well. And I think, like you mentioned, we were also fragmented. I think now's the time where we really do need to come together as an industry and to really spearhead that further.
But that's the thing, it's united we stand, divided we fall, which is a fantastic thing that you guys have done to come together. But the question, I know there's been a lot of questions, and you're always going to get that, and it's to be expected, and I see it as a compliment when people give so much attention, positive or negative, towards anything you do. But what I wanted to understand, because reading through the letter, you guys got a couple of points, talking points to start off. How did you come to that list of what should we look at first?
Now, I would probably just talk about the pain that I might be having, or my problems. But then again, when you speak about what Dan's problems are, or what your problems might be, or some other people, so we collated around 24 of the CEOs and chairmen on one call, where we started talking about, and we sent out that this is a draft that we are looking at, like it was talking points at that point. So that meeting, we had Paul as well being a part of that, and Khalid was a part.
Because there were some heavy hitters, there were some big companies that were on
Yeah.
that call.
Yes. So we started talking about, and then we filtered the common points. The common points would be that probably we are talking about everybody that is a part of the industry as a talking point, as a starting point, so that we can have a conversation, culminate into maybe some FaceTime, and then actions and decisions that probably benefits everybody.
So this has been a while in the working. It's not something that just happened overnight.
I would say that probably it was after the letter that was submitted. That was on the 1st of June.
Yep.
So we started pretty much on the first week of June. So if you make call, that probably as I've been called by my friends as the action man. So I have not been sitting idle, and I've been giving time and talking to everybody that I can. From the time that we had spoken, we got the letter ready. Today, 115 big and medium companies have put across. I've got 150 small companies who have joined in as well. So we are touching 300 people, 300 organizations, which are legal entities over here.
Yep.
Out of that, a lot of people that probably might not be heard, they might not be that tech savvy. They're not, the reason the letter was called was because ILEA was something that probably was happening. But then again, what about non-ILEA members?
Yeah.
What about people who don't know about
This is
it?
very true.
Where's the direction? So we started, and I think everybody started
It's
to
for
join
everyone.
in, because we had one common thing, pain.
True.
Yeah. So because ILEA originally sent a letter on the 28th of May, and now this is, obviously you mentioned a different letter, but now we're starting to see a situation where people are working together, because we all have one common goal.
It's creating, it's like you've seen it. There's been various funnels of people sort of starting movements, starting talks, starting actions, doing all that, but it's sort of nicely coming to a tipping point.
It is indeed. You mentioned you've got almost 300 either companies or small individuals that
Not
are
individuals,
now
companies.
entities or freelancers, I do believe. So freelancers?
Freelancers is something that we are now positioning
Okay.
ourselves, because to join hands with us. The annexure was signed by people who got trade licenses, people who
Okay.
are registered companies over here,
Yeah.
to showcase that they have employment at stake as well. So we put across 100,000 people that includes the freelancers as well, that probably have lost their kind of regular income that was supposed to be. I think since the time we've started speaking, it has gone into a point where people have started to understand that a common platform is the only way, and voices coming and funneling from different sections. I would be the first one to be a passenger, which I waited for 4 months. But then again, if it was not been driven, then I had discussed this with Pash, and we started driving this from our end. And I think it was required as well, so that's why people are looking in positives over here.
Yeah. And if people want to become part of the annex to sign this document, how do they get involved?
There's an email that was been mentioned today. Also, there's an email. There's a post that's gone on I know, and it's going to be on all social channels for us to connect with us, because I would like to probably clarify on this podcast as well. I am not doing this because I want to make myself as a position, or I'm networking like anybody else. I am one of the members of this fraternity right now, and I see that probably we all need to join hands equally. It's not about how many people I have or how many people you have. It's about that we have the similar kind of a situation. We all need to survive together.
Yeah. Well, and we need our industry to survive, ultimately.
Yes.
You know, even though we thrive in a
But
competitive
that was
environment.
the question I was going to ask. So with the points that you've put in there, for you as a smaller business,
Yeah.
do you feel your voice is being heard in this letter, or are you feeling that there's bits that are missing for you?
Overall, I think lots of the things which I'm going through right now are very similar to, the things which we mentioned in the document, and obviously what you're going through with your business. The slight caveat is my business is 9 people, so I don't have 400 people to try and feed. So I think it's good that some of the larger companies are now taking on that leadership role, because they do have a prominent position within our industry, and the likes of, PIG, yourselves, I think Eclipse was on the call as well. So these people employ vast amounts of people within our industry, and we definitely need to make sure we can retain that talent and support everybody. So I think those voices now need to help lead this and drive this further.
And to make sure, with a lot of the feedback, again, it was the smaller voices that were getting worried that they might get lost.
That's exactly where I mentioned at the lowest end of the chain, because we're starting from there.
So by the lowest end of the chain, are you referring to freelancers?
The lowest end of the chain is freelancers, is entities, which is like the smaller entities, like 2 people, 3 people. They've been like support system for exhibition industry, for as printers. So these people are not possibly having a voice. So we're trying to get them together as well. So they are more important for us, because if they are not going to be a part of our fraternity, we are going to lose out on the ecosystem that needs to be.
Well,
I was going
brilliant.
to say on that note, because they are vital to our
Yeah.
ecosystem.
But this is a brilliant point, and I'd like you to sort of go into that in a little bit more detail. Yes, you need those people with the less voice, because they do make quite a big portion of our industry.
Sure.
Can you go through a couple of the points in your agenda that you feel really addresses them, and they should hear that their voice is being heard?
We've spoken about salary retention, and there's a fund, or maybe there is something that the government needs to probably come together to retain, which is people over here. So that confirms the fact that probably it is about people who were earning their livelihood from here. So these are freelancers as well. We've also spoken to ILEA about a portal to be created for freelancers, which apparently has been missing, so that everybody, like when it comes down to we having talent over here, we having people who have been like project managers, we also need to create some sort of a standardization so that, and this is my thoughts where probably we need to probably elaborate, that everybody gets an opportunity. It's not about who you know and how you know. What happens is that I might know Dan very well, so the business comes and Dan is just going to probably choose me on many of the other people. But then again, if you're comparing an apple to an apple, on what I have done and somebody else might have done will be equal, we should probably categorize them so that, like the airport, when you go and there's a queue for the cabs, each cab gets a passenger. So this is the time we need to probably make sure that we are having the survival mode on. We don't need to look at that I need to be greedy to get all the business. And that's where probably we need to probably look at the standardization part of that. And that is mentioned with what we are now penetrating, with everybody coming together as a discussion point as well.
Yeah.
That's got to be refreshing for you as a smaller business to hear that what's being put out there on your behalf is something that gives voice to everyone. Because I know there's been a lot of fear with regards to, but it's the big hitters. As you said, on the call, there were heavy hitters.
Yeah.
So there are people going, okay, well, what about me?
100%, and then I like what you mentioned, the analogy for the taxi cab. It's like everybody gets a passenger.
Yes.
You know, we all need our passengers. We all need a piece of business. So if there's a way that we can help make that happen, it's definitely for the better of our industry, because we need people to survive. You know, we need the small businesses, we need the big businesses, we need everybody in between. So if there's a fair system and a fair way of trying to make that happen, and again, it's not about a competitive edge, but it's about finally bringing our community and our industry together to be able to survive, because that's pretty much what it is now, and we need to survive into the future.
But do you think that's feasible?
See, that's I like to answer on that, because
Sure.
I've got some pointers that I've already discussed. First of all, the first and foremost is that we need to probably create a platform that everybody adheres to. We have one such platform, which is an acknowledged platform like ILEA. So we need to strengthen that. If everybody comes in one line, then we need to probably create that kind of a standardization. Because if it is going to be today, like it is difficult at this current situation. But then again, if we have this opportunity to be looked in and create certain sort of norms for the industry, I think it's possible. And what we need to do is the people who are at the top, like the big heavyweights, mid-segment and everybody else, we need to probably categorize them as well. So like I might be probably weighing whatever, I might be needing a little bit more food because of my people. Somebody might be probably just okay with some sort of, we all need to be replenished. We all need to probably look at this. At this point, as the discussion goes on, we have a separate discussion happening with ILEA, which I would probably make it very open for people to join in as well, because that's a 10 point that what we're trying to see. So the industry not only comes together for right now, but create some norms. This is the time for us. It is not going to happen ever again that the world is going to stop. It's not going to happen that we start.
Hopefully not.
Like
Hopefully not.
Once is enough for all of us.
I think we all learned, but then again, the positives to be taken and driven, and I'm a positive person, so positives to be driven is that we can create systems. We can create some sort of a thing that an ecosystem can be created, something which is a sustainable model. And people, like, I know a few people that are common friends. I had one of the friends, and I'm not going to name, but then again, somebody who was employed as a DJ with him, he started his own business and took away because he was already having the clients to be. So that's something that probably you cannot probably have these kind of things happen. There needs to be standardization that probably we as employers and employees, we all need to probably create some sort of a platform that norms have been set at the point. Yeah.
think that's going to take a bit of work. Definitely going to take a bit
I think
of work.
there's a lot of filter happening at the moment.
Yeah.
And at this point, if you know that you don't know the direction, it's all dark, and somebody's showing you the torch and showing you the light right now, people will listen. At least for the 8 months, and let's see how it goes.
The freelancers, I'm going to come back to this for a second. It's fantastic that you guys are keeping them in consideration and you are putting them at front of mind when you're putting this letter together and going forward. But some of these freelancers, as we know, they don't have the right paperwork. They fly in, they fly out. You'd probably get a lot of them with the talent side.
Yeah, massively.
What about them? Because they don't count in a way.
See, as it's just been 10 days, 12 days, we started this campaign and the initiative. Now, as we mentioned today, that we are looking at freelancers to join, and so we're gonna probably have people from that part to talk about themselves and talk about what is the kind of sectors and sections and their issues as well. To get into one extra point to be added, or certain thing that we can actually just look at, how we can make sure people who don't have paperwork to be.
That's fantastic.
So
that's good to
step
hear.
by step.
It's a step by. That's good to hear. That's
But
good
to
to
be
hear.
clear though, if we're talking about any type of funds or kind of like any government relief, it has to be people which are legally represented, legally allowed to work here, and that is for freelancers as well, because there are freelance visas and the freelance opportunities where they can become legal.
But we're talking about past moving into the future. So there are people who will be able to become legal, will be able to get the paperwork, but that might mean they don't get access to funds because they weren't before.
But they should have been before. So that's the biggest challenge.
It's a very...
So we don't want to get into that hot topic.
That's another hot topic. That'll be another segment.
It will indeed.
But it's good to hear that these are topics and these are things that you are thinking about. It's not a case of we're only looking after a certain segment of the industry. It is giving a voice to everyone.
Some of those, I'm going to say those conversations are happening because I know Charles Chaka and Simon Cooper, they've created a little group. There's like 197 people in a WhatsApp group for the nightlife industry, for DJs and for freelance entertainers. So I know those conversations are happening and that they're now being channeled through to ILEA so that they can support the COVID committees.
I think one of the best things that is coming out of this is finally there is everyone sort of funneling into ILEA.
Well, there's a legal representation for our industry. It has to happen.
But it's getting people to come in. People are getting to see it. So,
I definitely agree. But then again, prior to this conversation with Paul, and I actually just spoke to him after the call as well. So the fact is, we all thought that we are alien to what Ilia does.
Yeah.
And there's not many people, and he knows about this as well. And Khalid is going to be the president-elect now. So I spoke to him as well, and I spoke to Saif. Saif is very aggressive at the moment. He just sent me a WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Which is good, because that's where, if you have the aggression and you channelize it, or you channel it properly, it becomes into an action.
Yeah.
So prior to this, and the letter that went out, did you know about it? I didn't know about it. So if we don't know about it, that means that probably if we have got this opportunity to make sure that ILEA becomes an action model, which probably I think I would be in the books over there. Me and Pash, we initiated something that probably has triggered to bring everybody together. If that works, that's the organization that we need to back. And if it is not going to be, then it also boils down to the point that if we are we're hanging on to something that probably is not moving, then we'd rather swim ourselves.
100%. But it's good to see that there is movement happening. And if it came outside or inside ILEA, I think that's besides the point right now.
Well, it's being driven by people outside of ILEA pushing it further forward, and ILEA can be a vehicle.
I like throwing little grenades. I'm liking where this is going.
but they're a vehicle to make it happen, but fundamentally it's being driven by people outside of the membership.
True.
And now is the time to come together.
True.
But at least they're listening. At least they're stepping up.
So I was going to say, on the listening,
pushing them to.
On the listening side of things, has your letter, been submitted to any government entities already?
We're sort of jumping ahead a little bit.
Am I? I'm always premature. Okay.
Not going to comment on that. Might have to edit that bit out. So, just another point on the list. There was a point about let's make sure that we're looking at local talent, local industry, as opposed to going externally, going internationally. I think there was a little bit of confusion by some people. They thought that it was only mentioned that Expo should be the one.
We mentioned in the as a starting point, we wanted events leading up to Expo. So any event that is happening from now onwards, anything that, and we also asked the government to probably create a calendar for us, so that it's a transparent feature, that we know that probably what's coming our way. We can plan ourselves. We know that probably what we can bank upon, and if that's going to be funneled and being given an opportunity to everybody to participate on that, that's the survival mode for us. I don't think that probably it's a thing that probably has gone globally at the moment, and I can talk about like people like the government from India as well. They're all promoting local right now.
Yeah.
So local is going to be local has to be vocal. So
Yeah.
we are all vocal about local right
I
now.
like that.
That's
Local
actually really
has to
good.
be vocal.
Like that, you should copyright
Copyright
that.
that.
That's definitely really good.
It's coming from India. So.
But it's vital, like you were saying, because the local ecosystem has to survive.
If it
To
doesn't,
be,
yeah.
If it doesn't, there's no industry
Can you imagine
left.
if the industry, if people started, too many people started leaving Dubai, and then the events start going, who's going to deliver them?
Very true story.
It's going to end up becoming even more costly, or there's not enough people being able to fly in. How are you going to deliver?
Yeah.
So we've got to look at home first. We've got to look at home. So I think it's fantastic that that's one of the points that's been put in
Yes.
there. I think it's crucial.
I will probably just take a note of what our discussion prior to this was. So whenever that we're coming to this part of the world, people ask us, what's your local experience?
Yeah,
So the local
100%.
experience needs to be backed up by local business, being passed on to us.
And that's going to be more relevant now than ever, especially given the changes that the economy and the situation here in Dubai is being presented with. I think that local experience is going to be vital to be able to deliver some of these projects.
I think, to be completely honest, I've been working with the government, and I've been working with a lot of initiatives by the government over here as well. So fact is, they're very dynamic when it comes down to if they know what is the kind of. Prior to this, we have not been looked at in as a sector. If we look at this, that we have been a part and parcel of maybe exhibitions have been separate, or we talk about we are part of tourism, that everything that has happened prior to this has not been like a collective effort. So
Yeah.
if we go out over there, there's issues and things, and I think the government is very dynamic to look at what the new procedures would be.
Great. Now we can go to our last question for the day. Next steps.
The letter is going out tomorrow. It's not going out just as a letter, it's going out with the annexure, but then again, we have already spoken to people prior to that. So the letter would mean that probably that's the knock on the door.
So it has been tweaked since what was posted?
No, it's the same
It's the
letter.
same
The
letter.
annexure has grown. So there's
Perfect.
more people who've actually just put things together. So we are mentioning that probably how the strength has grown from strength to strength for the last. ILEA is backing it completely. The steps that have been taken is that ILEA is just now based on that letter, and how this has actually just been positioned in the movement. We have got ourselves a COVID-19 committee
Fantastic.
from ILEA. So that is going to be recognized now, because that's a recognized body that probably is put together. So the letter would mean that's a knock on the door. We are trying to find some FaceTime this week. We would like to see that probably all of that, whatever we get as a statement, is recorded. We are talking about not the problems, we're talking about solutions.
Yeah.
So negatives is that, oh, we've had this and that. But if we are going to be there, then ILEA and the committee, that is, we are going to represent all of us, and this is going to be because that's where it has started, the traction happen. And we would then make more people to join in on the conversations. That was going to be very transparent. So the letter going out today, that's the knock on the door. We're going to probably have all the people who acknowledged and provided their support as an equal partner. Nobody's big, nobody's small. So we're going to have that been addressed, shared with everybody. And then the meetings as and when that happens this week, we have got some very positive support coming from government entities as well, which is coming from Abu Dhabi as well. So I think
That's good to hear.
I was going to say that's quite vital as well, because this is not just about Dubai. This is the UAE as a whole, and Abu Dhabi has rightfully, some people, and some businesses
They're in there with us, aren't they?
They are indeed, and they've felt somewhat left out. But Pash is obviously in Abu Dhabi, so he's going to be over there driving that. I'm
Abash
sure.
is doing an amazing job right now as well with us holding up. I've got 2 branches in Abu Dhabi as well. So it affects all of us.
Yeah.
And what we need to probably just address is that probably it's a unified effort. So
Yeah.
it's an effort that it's not about Dubai. I think all the Emirates are going to be a part of that as well. So free zones are going to be a part of this as well. The reach to the Dubai and the Abu Dhabi government is based on the fact the federal and the local governments look at this, that it's an issue that they have to address and solutions to be provided, because we are a very important pillar of this region. And events has been a part where probably it has played a bigger role. We don't have the numbers to probably just display. I saw your survey today of 97%. So we are going to be probably having some surveys been announced this week so that we know how it has hit everybody, including
we can get the figures.
I was going to say, I can give you that data because on that survey as well, it also said that 88% of the freelancers and the people that we work with have had no income since the end of February.
Dan, you're an integral part of this. Letter. So you need to probably just play a bigger role. Everybody, whoever that probably can probably just add on something. This is the right time.
For sure. Well, I'll send you all that data for sure.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Well, on a final note, how can people get in touch? Where's the best place to get in touch?
As simple as what the COVID Action Committee has been announced today. There are emails that's been mentioned on INO and all our social channels. We're going to go the media route as well, but we are thinking and we are just probably just discussing it internally with the people that have put the support across so that we know that we are not just making a lot of noise without any substance. So we are taking a step at a time. The easiest way is just send an email.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's it.
Well, guys, get involved.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Harmeek, thank you so much for coming in and sharing that feedback. Because I know it's been a hot topic over the last week or so.
Thank you so much. I was looking at the comments that were being read, and few of them I wanted to, and my fingers were like twitching to answer. But then again, I didn't. I thought this is the platform, and couple of calls before this was that don't go. I said no, I have to.
No, it's good. Thank you. We do appreciate answering many of the people's questions because I know there was lots. And you know, we all know our events industry. We all have a good opinion. So thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you. And guys, that's the last sort of a ending note. We all need to forget about the boundaries and erase them and join hands, because it's not about, even if some small entities or somebody big goes, it is going to affect and dent the industry altogether. Let's hold hands. This is the time.
Well, we finish with the comment, united we stand, divided we fall.
True.
Thank you.
Indeed we do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.